Good evening, and welcome to another disinformative episode of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now, here's your disambiguous and discombobulated host, Voice of Doom. Good evening. Going to do another diatribe, which I wasn't really planning on doing until I woke up this morning and turned on the news and decided I'd do a screed about the news, which I really didn't want to do. I mean, general stuff, but I didn't want to get personal, but I was just watching my usual, and then I kind of let it go and just let it play auto, and it started playing Meet the Press, and I haven't watched it in a long time. I don't usually watch any of those mainstream Sunday morning news shows anymore because there's too many other things to see. I used to watch them pretty religiously, and I was watching the show, which I will call Press the Meat, because it reminds me of a meat press, and it reminds me of pressing meat when I watch it. But I was kind of missing Tim Russert when I was watching it because things have changed a lot, and it's just so obvious, and it's ham-handed and clumsy the way they are just obsessed with the last, and I mean final president. Just can't let anything go, and they're searching for anything to tie anything into insurrection. And it's ridiculous, but I did jot down some notes because I wanted to talk about it. And first thing that came on was William P. Barr, former Attorney General of the United States under the last, and I mean final president. So when you think William Barr, an attorney under a Republican president, then you think, okay, he must be a good guy. And he was on a book tour, which is their wont. I think they get an offer they can't refuse. Just jot together a few words, take some of your old notes, throw it into a book, and let a ghostwriter write it, and then you go around because you're a known person and tout the book, okay? That's fine. I mean, it's fine. But William Barr has never been one of my faves. And I always thought from the beginning when I heard his name mentioned as the new Attorney General, I knew he was a plant. And I might be one of the few people that know why. Or even know it. Because everybody thinks he's all peaches and cream. Nice pudgy dog face. I see Swamp Monster, a deep state spook from way back. But if you bring up such things, you would never bring it up on Meet the Press or Press the Meat because then you just look like a conspiracy theorist or you're bringing up old news. And whether what he's done in his tenure as a spook and a swamp monster is good or bad, he probably thinks it was good. But a lot of it has to do with underhanded stuff, secret ops stuff. So we won't go into that. I just never really trusted him. I think he was there to babysit the last, and I mean final president, but Orangey is not going to be babysat. And he certified that there was no need to look into any election discrepancies or possible fraud or any other anomalies in the election, which there was myriad, to use a whole bunch of long words, myriad of anomalies in the election, and they kind of just said, no, let's just call it a day. It's all good. I didn't trust that election one little bit. But luckily for the idiots the Chuck Todds of the world. There was a demonstration that was blowing up into an insurrection that was almost so close to overthrowing the government, and many government officials were afraid for their lives, and the police were breaking down in tears after escorting them all in. And they wanted to tie that to the last, and I mean final president, and they're still trying. They're doing everything they can. They grilled William P. Barr for his whole segment about whether or not Orange Man was going to give up the office, or whether he was just going to hunker down and have a gun and say, "Don't anybody come near me." It's ridiculous, stupid. And then they go into, I think before that he talked about Ukraine because he had to talk about something current instead of just talking about the last, and I mean final. It's kind of talked about, the U.S. aid. I looked up into it a bit because I didn't really get into it until the round table started. It's always good to see the round table now. The round table on Fox News is a bunch of Republicans and the one that's maybe slightly left in the Republicans. Or maybe there's a full-on Democrat 1 out of 5 or something of that effect. So it's not really that balanced, but at least they offer some people to just say, here's the way I look at it. With Press the Meat, they have one round table and they have one person, everybody's left wing to the max, wokesters. Absolutely hopeless. But they'll have one guy in there that kind of talks for the right side, but he does it very half-heartedly. So I heard that. So anything Orange says is going to be taken out of context or is going to be misconstrued. So when he says something to the effect of, Putin didn't know what I was going to do, he couldn't predict my behavior, so that's why he never attacked while I was president. So, wide open fodder for the idiots. You see, he's saying he was crazy, he's saying he was unstable, and he has his finger on the button when he's president. Oh my God, how close could we come? Okay, so that's how that works. And then he's friendly to Putin. He's never said anything bad. He's always friendly to Putin. Well, all right, you get two ways to go. You got a president, you got another president. They might be at odds with each other. Now, would you left-wing wokesters, you hippies, sons of hippies, like to see someone be unfriendly to an antagonist and be provocative? Or should he be friendly and try to negotiate, as you guys say? Be diplomatic. Let's be friendly. Let's not go into a room and start at each other's throats. So you can't win. If you're orangey, there's no way. You can't do anything to win. If you're friendly, negotiating, you want to avoid conflict, you're in bed with the Russians. And if you're not friendly, you're provocative. So you can't win. And everybody knows it. The smart people. So don't even try that. Chuck Todd, he's irritating. Then, when they talk about Ukraine, these idiots say, well, if Trump was president now, oh my God, we'd be in a mess. Because he didn't even like Ukraine. He didn't give him anything. And he just talked to the guy to, have poor Petri dish and his son, investigated, and that was impeachable. So he almost got impeached for that. He did get impeached. Idiots. NATO will divide and break away because Orange Man wanted to get the United States out of NATO, so he would have done it before today, and then everybody else would be in disarray, and Ukraine would be bombed. And it would lead to World War III, because he broke down NATO. All the wokesters love NATO. All the liberals, all the peaceniks, all the give peace a chance, and All we are saying, love NATO because they love war. They've been raised to love war. So that's the way that goes. So it'd be a shambles. And we wouldn't care about the Ukrainians. If Orange Man was president, he would ignore the whole situation. He would say it's none of our concern, and therefore everyone in America would not give a rip about innocent people being bombed in Ukraine because of Orangey. The last, and I mean final. So what else did I write down? It's interesting. Nothing really, but I did want to say that they were wrong in saying that he didn't give aid, because he did. Since 2014, the Crimean incident, USA to Ukraine is $2.5 billion. It was held up in June of 2021, which was 2 months before August of 2021, when we saw the biggest debacle in military history. It was held up by Petri dish in June 2021 because he was going to have a summit with Vlad the Mad. And he didn't want to be provocative before the summit, so he said no aid to Ukraine right now. So, from the facts that I came up with, I guess the opposite is true of what they said about everything. Not to mention the fact that Orangey was friendly with Putin, while other people were way more friendly. And their names begin with H and B and end in C. And they were also friendly with Ukrainians, and they were friendly with Chinese. And they've made millions being friendly. So when they say Trump loves Putin, I don't think Trump loved Putin for the money he could make off him. You're a billionaire already, come on. What are they looking for? He's corrupt. They make $2 million off that deal. Oh, brother. So that was Press the Meat. Hated it. Probably will never watch it again. But I will watch it when there's no choice for them but to realize they have to admit that Petri dish is an utter and complete failure. And it'll be so obvious to the world that they will look like fools if they don't say so. So I will watch that episode, because that will be fun to watch. Because sooner or later, even the wokester left of frickin' Che Guevara, they have to admit to the truth. When everybody sees it, you look like a fool if you say something different. So that's the way that'll go. And I still miss Tim, because Tim Russert, it was the beginning of the bias. Up until then, nobody really showed bias in the news. But once the news started getting more competitive, then they had to be more kind of one side or another. So you knew that Russert was a Democrat, and you also might assume that he may not be real fond of Orange. But I don't think he would badger Orange. I don't think he'd be demented about it. I don't think he'd be deranged with hatred, that he would look for every single opportunity to find a connection between the last, and I mean final president, and any scandal that he could dig up, and that would be all he did for the rest of his career. I don't think he'd be like that. And I think people that have been on the planet for a while know he wouldn't be. He'd be tough on everybody, but he wouldn't be obsessed. Just preternatural hatred that goes back millions of lifetimes. So I miss him. He was a good newsman. Had a good delivery, too. Press the Meat. That's it for me. Probably won't be seeing my face or my comments. And I looked at the comment section. I don't think anybody knew what they were talking about, because they were calling Barr a traitor. I don't know why he was a traitor if they're liberals. I mean, he was a plant, and they should know that. And they were saying how Chucky shouldn't have said so much about the military status of Ukraine, giving away military secrets on the air, but I'm sure he got it off the internet, so it must be common knowledge. So we won't speak of such things. I'll let it go at that. I think I said enough. I don't like lambasting the competition, but since nobody's watching this, it really doesn't matter, does it? All right, I'll bid you a good night and good news.